The 1967 Washington Quarter. The 1967 Washington Quarter is part of the series that has been in circulation since 1932, featuring George Washington on the front. But here's the thing, if you're looking for a 1967 quarter that could really bring in some serious cash, you need to be on the lookout for one that's missing the mint mark. You see, most quarters minted in the United States have a small mint mark, usually a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, indicating where the coin was produced. But some 1967 quarters were struck without a mint mark, even though they were supposed to have one. This mistake is what makes the 1967 quarter without a mint mark extremely rare, and as a result, extremely valuable. What makes it worth so much? Now, you might be wondering, why is a 1967 quarter with no mint mark worth $15,500? The answer lies in its rarity and the demand from collectors. Mint marks are important because they help collectors determine where and when the coin was made. So, when a quarter from 1967 was struck without any mint mark, it created an error that wasn't supposed to happen, and collectors went wild over it. The absence of a mint mark on a coin that was otherwise supposed to have one makes it an incredibly rare find. This error is not just a small mistake, it's a significant oversight that makes the coin much harder to find, hence its high value in the market. The value depends on condition. But, like with any coin, the condition of your 1967 quarter plays a huge role in how much it's worth. A well-preserved, near-mint example of a 1967 quarter without a mint mark could bring in that $15,500 price tag, especially if it's been carefully stored and remains in pristine condition. Coins with significant wear or damage will be worth far less, but even a lower-grade coin with this error can still fetch a few $100s. So, if you find one of these in decent shape, it could be worth a lot more than you expected. How to identify the 1967 quarter with no mint mark? So, how can you tell if your 1967 quarter has this error? It's actually pretty simple. Start by looking at the back of the coin, where the mint mark usually appears near the bottom. If you see no mint mark, you might have stumbled upon one of these rare coins. Next, check for any other signs of error or misprints. While the no mint mark error is the most significant, some 1967 quarters could also have minor defects from the minting process, such as off-center strikes or double strikes. But the main thing to look for is the absence of that mint mark. Where to sell it? If you've got a 1967 quarter with no mint mark and it's in good shape, you may want to have it appraised. Coin dealers or numismatic experts can provide a more accurate valuation, and they can help you determine the best way to sell it. Online auction sites like eBay also offer a marketplace for collectors, but be sure to have the coin authenticated before listing it for sale. The 1970 D Washington Quarter. Now, you might be wondering, why is this particular year such a big deal? Well, while the 1970 D quarter might seem like just another regular coin from the 1970s, there's more to it than meets the eye. Minted at the Denver Mint, the 1970 D Washington Quarter was part of the regular coinage series. The 1970s were a bit of an interesting time for U.S. coinage. There were a few changes, especially with the metals used and coin production methods. For most people, the 1970 D is just a quarter, and nothing particularly stands out about it. However, that's where the story gets really interesting. Now, let's talk about why this coin can actually be worth thousands of dollars if it's in the right condition. Specifically, we're talking about high grades, like the MS-69 grade, which is near perfect condition. If you didn't know, coins are graded on a scale, from poor, which is basically trashed, all the way up to MS-70, which is flawless. MS-69 is just one tiny notch below perfection. These types of coins are super rare and highly sought after by collectors. Now, here's the kicker. In 2023, a 1970 D Washington Quarter graded MS-69 sold for a whopping $15,000 on eBay. Yep, you heard that right. $15,000. So why did this quarter sell for so much money? Well, let's break it down. First, it's all about the condition. When a coin is in MS69 condition, it's virtually flawless. These coins usually have no visible wear, no scratches, and almost no imperfections that you could see with the naked eye. Now, imagine how rare it is to find a 1970 D quarter in that pristine state. Most of the 1970 DS you'll come across are circulated and have wear and tear from years in people's pockets or cash registers. But the MS69 examples? They're a whole different story. Also, when it comes to auctioning rare coins, it's all about timing and demand. The buyer in this auction was likely looking for a key date in perfect condition to complete their collection. People love owning coins that are as close to perfect as possible, and this auction had multiple bidders competing, which drove the price sky high. Okay, now, what about errors? Because let's face it, when it comes to rare coins, errors are often the holy grail of collectors. There are a few types of errors that can make a 1970 D Washington quarter especially valuable. For example, there were some cases of double dies during the production process in 1970. A double die error happens when the die used to strike the coin has a flaw, and the design ends up being stamped twice in slightly different positions, which makes the coin stand out. If you happen to come across a 1970 D with a noticeable double die error, that can definitely add some value. These error coins are always highly collectible because they're unique and make the coin stand out in a collection. So, what does all this mean for you as a collector? If you've got any 1970 D Washington quarters lying around, it's definitely worth taking a closer look at their condition. Look for any signs of high-grade quality, and if you think you have something special, maybe even consider getting it professionally graded. Who knows, you might just be sitting on a hidden treasure. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about key dates and errors in US coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. And as always, happy hunting out there, coin collectors. The 1969 quarter features George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. The big thing to know about the 1969 quarter is that it was primarily minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which means it has no mint mark. You'll find this coin circulating in many collections, but here's where it gets interesting. Some of these quarters have special features that can make them worth a whole lot more than 25 cents. Key factors that drive the value. So, how can a 1969 quarter with no mint mark be worth $2,400? The short answer is rarity. Most 1969 quarters are common and only worth face value, but some special coins from that year have errors or unusual characteristics that collectors absolutely go crazy for. And the best part? These coins are rare and were likely missed by many collectors because they appear to be ordinary at first glance. But, once you know what to look for, you'll see that a small error or condition upgrade can make your 1969 quarter much more valuable. What makes a 1969 quarter high value? Here's where the excitement kicks in. The 1969 quarter with no mint mark can be valuable due to a double die error. This happens when a coin is struck twice by the die, causing the design to appear doubled. The most common places you'll see the double die error are on the date, 1969, or around the words like, Liberty, and, In God We Trust. If your 1969 quarter has that double image, that's a serious sign of rarity, and it's worth far more than the typical quarter. Some 1969 double die quarters can be worth anywhere from $50 to $2,400, depending on how severe the error is and the overall condition of the coin. Another way a 1969 quarter can stand out is through an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to appear off-center. Depending on how far off-center the coin is, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So, if you've got a 1969 quarter and the design is a bit misaligned, it could be time to get it appraised. How to spot a valuable 1969 quarter. So, how do you know if you've got a high-value 1969 quarter? First, take a good look at the date. Check if there's any doubling on the numbers of 1969. If you notice any signs of doubling, you might have found a double die error. Then, look at the letters around the coin, especially Liberty and In God We Trust, for any blurry or doubled text. Next, check the condition of the coin. A coin in mint state condition, meaning it shows little to no wear, will always fetch a much higher price than one that's been heavily circulated. A well-preserved 1969 quarter with a double die error could easily be worth thousands. Why 1969 quarters are so special to collectors? The reason 1969 quarters stand out is because errors like double dies and off-center strikes are relatively rare. These types of minting mistakes aren't common, and when they do happen, they create coins that are unique and valuable to collectors. If you think about it, finding a 1969 quarter with a noticeable error is like stumbling upon a rare artifact that most people wouldn't even recognize. That's why these error coins fetch such high prices at auctions. How much could your 1969 quarter be worth? Now, let's get into the numbers. If your 1969 quarter has a double die error and is in good condition, it could be worth anywhere from $500 to $2,400, or even more if it's in exceptional condition. A coin with an off-center strike could fetch several $100s or more, depending on how misaligned it is. The key here is to carefully examine your coin for any errors and assess its condition.